Welcome, Middlers, to the Medium in the Middle podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I take you on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual exploration. I am a Reiki master teacher, a spiritual and business mentor, and of course, a psychic medium. And I am here to share my story and help you tap into your extraordinary abilities. Join me every Wednesday as we dive into the realms of intuition, energy healing, and all things mystical. Whether you're a seasoned spiritual seeker or just dipping your toes into the magical waters, this podcast is your go-to source for inspiration, guidance, and a whole lot of lessons and laughter along the way. Let's get started. Hello, Middlers. Welcome to episode 246. My name is Stephanie. I am the medium in the middle. And this is the second last episode of 2024. Next week will be the last episode of the year before the podcast takes its yearly break over the holidays, and we will be back early January with another episode. So I have a few episodes up my sleeve, but a lot of them need to be saved for next year because they're series. So we are kicking it with a regular, old school mediumship story today. Did anyone else forget I was a medium? Because sometimes I do. So I've been really good with my boundaries and my clients for a long time. I've had spirit sneak into trainings, and when I'm doing the mediumship circle, sometimes they come around my house and randomly out. But with a client, my boundaries are still no mediumship. So I've said this before on the podcast, but I use the analogy of knocking on the door. So I imagine that I'm sitting in my office, wherever that is, whether it's virtual or in person. And if someone knocks on the door, spirit, I don't even look. At this point, I don't even turn my head and acknowledge that someone's knocking at the door. What I used to do was, oh, someone's knocking at the door. Oh, I wonder who it is. Oh, let me go peek out the window. Oh, there's someone there. Oh, is it a girl or a boy? Oh, I wonder who it is. Oh, is it their grandma? Is it their this? Let me open the door and see who they are. Let me open the door and see if they have a message. And that's how I would let spirit sneak into every single one of my sessions. Is they would energetically knock at the door and I would go open the door every single time. So now when anyone asks, did anyone come through? Did anything happen? I'm like, oh no, I didn't even check the door. I wasn't even listening if anyone knocked at the door because I'm working. I'm doing Reiki. I can only do one thing at a time. And when I teach this, I've been teaching a lot the last few months, but I use the analogy of if you order a burger, I'm giving you a burger. And even if I think you need a salad, or you might like a salad, or you might want a salad, or you ordered a burger, I'm giving you a burger. When you book whatever with me, Reiki, I'm giving you Reiki. When you book Psych K, I'm giving you Psych K. I'm not giving you a salad because I think you like a salad. You might want a salad. You might like a salad as extra. No, I'm giving you what you ordered, which is a burger. So that's why I do not add in mediumship to anything anymore. I'm not looking at the door. I'm not bringing you a salad. Yes, the salad is available. It's in the kitchen. The salad's always available. I'm serving you a burger because you ordered a burger. And using this analogy, the salad isn't even on the menu. Mediumship is not even on my menu. People are always like, how do I book a reading with you? I was like, oh, you can't. Unless you are the chosen one, like today's client. I always have to start these episodes with the biggest disclaimer. Because 99% of the time in my sessions, this does not happen. And I really don't want people booking with me hoping mediumship was going to happen. Please, if you want a salad, go order a salad with someone who sells salads. You get the mediumship reference, right? I don't sell salads. I don't offer salads. I'm good at making salads, and I know everyone wants a salad, but I serve burgers. Only burgers here. No salads. No substitutions. So if you want mediumship, please go book with a medium. There's so many amazing mediums. They will give you mediumship. Don't book with me and hope mediumship will come through. At 99.9% 0% of the time will come through. Or I won't allow it to come through, I should say. So with that giant disclaimer, I'm now going to tell you this insane story. I'm sorry, I feel like I have to give a disclaimer. I'm like, I'm such a hypocrite. I sit here and I say, I never read for people, and then I tell you all the stories of me reading for people. Happens by accident, okay? And after you hear today's story, you'll know why I broke my boundaries for this person. So just a few quick announcements. The last mediumship circle is this weekend, December 14th, if you want to practice your mediumship. Again, no experience is necessary. And we are booking into January for Reiki trainings. If you want to start off your year with a training, it's a great thing to book yourself for Christmas or ask for Christmas. Your loved ones can just sign you up with your name and your email, and they can pay right on my website. Easy peasy. The January level 1 is January 11th and 12th. The January level 2 is January 25th and 26th. I will leave all the links you need down below in the show notes. And my mentorship program still has 4 spots left for a January start. It is a 12-week one-on-one program where we work together. My specialties are mediumship development, Reiki development, business growth or starting a business, and of course, intuition, diving into those 4 things. So if you are looking for a mentor in the new year and you feel called to work with me, we start in January and we'll work together till April. It's my program, Mentees in the Middle. I run it 3 times a year and it always sells out. So if you're thinking about a spot, go put in an application, see if it feels right, and trust your intuition on if it does or not. And my last announcement is my 5th annual famous goals workshop. It's happening on December 28th. It's a Saturday. So when you're full of cheese and wine and you don't know what day it is, come do this workshop. It's my favorite workshop. I think I say that about all my workshops, but my goals workshop and my business workshop are my favorite workshops. So I'm just setting the record straight. Anyways, December 28th, you know the drill. I've been doing this for 5 years or more. I don't know. Links down below in the show notes for everything you need. Reiki trainings, mediumship circles, the goals workshops. Here we go. 2025 is coming. So the disclaimers have been said, but I had to do this one. So I was walking to work. And my office is on the 2nd floor of the building. So I was walking up the stairs and my head was down. And I lifted my head at the top of the stairs and there was a woman staring at me and smiling. And I said, "You must be waiting for me." And she was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Sorry, I follow you, so I know who you are." And I was like, "Oh, like, no worries. Just give me 5 minutes. I'll come grab you, like, have a seat." So I set up my room as normal, and then I walked out, and she was with 2 other women. So when I walked out, it was like all 3 of them, and I just assumed they were my clients for the day. It happens very often that people will travel to see me with like their friends or their mom or their sister, or they'll come for a birthday, or they'll come for like something, or a family will book like my whole day because they've come from out of town. So I just figured they were my clients for the day. So I said the person's name who was listed to go first, but I was like, "Oh, like, are you going first? Like, are you guys all coming in today?" And they were like, "No, it's just me. These are my friends. They came with me. And this is my birthday gift." And we found out that we were almost birthday buddies. I think we were 2 days apart. And she started talking about how she's had a hard year. And instantly, I was like, uh-oh. And then a few sentences later, she said, "Yes, my daughter passed away this year." And I said, "Oh, I know." She came up right away. And she was like, "Oh, I knew she would. These girls have been my rock, so they brought me here. It's like my birthday trip." And I was like, "Okay, like, get inside. Like, come on. We have work to do." So we came inside and she was telling me about herself and why she came for the Reiki. And as soon as she laid on the table, her daughter was just ready to talk. So I said, because she told me she listened to the podcast. So I said, I wouldn't normally do this, but I feel like I have to do this. Like, is it okay if we speak to your daughter today? She was like, absolutely. I was hoping she would come through. I was like, okay. So she started talking right away. I knew that she had died recently and that it hadn't been 1 year. As soon as I was out in the hallway with her, I heard, "Hi, Mom." And she started to talk about different signs. She was talking about butterflies and birds. And there was something out the back window of her home. I was like, is there a window at the back of your home, either over a sink or I don't know if it's in the bedroom, but I keep seeing like something is going on in the back of your home with signs. And she's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm paying attention. So then she said that she had other kids, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, you have a girl and a boy? And she said, yes. And I said, it's a girl older and the boy younger. And she said, yes. I said, okay, who's 23? She's like, ooh, you're good. She's like, the older daughter is 23 years old. And I said, okay. And then as soon as I heard the number 23, because she was telling me how old her sister was, it made me think of this Taylor Swift song, because I'm feeling 22. And then I was like, oh, weird, because that's not the song. It's 22, not 23. But then I thought of Taylor Swift. So I was like, oh, this must be a reference. So I was like, oh, I just heard Taylor Swift in my head as soon as I said her sister is 23. And she's like, oh my gosh, they love Taylor Swift. It was really important to her. And I was like, okay. And then I started talking about a car crash. I was like, I feel like there was a very fatal car crash. And it was very tragic. Did she die in a car crash? Because I'm seeing a flash of red and blue. And I don't know if that was like the two cars were red and blue, but red and blue is flashing, and there's this reference of a car crash. She's like, no, she didn't die of a car crash. And I was like, okay, is there someone else who died in a car crash? And she was like, no. And I was like, it seems like really bad. Like it was a really bad car crash. And she was like, no. And I was like, anything to do with black ice? Like did you get in a car crash when you were younger? She was like, no. So I said, okay, if it's not fitting, we'll keep going. And then we started to talk about how they were traveling for the 1 year anniversary. So I said, she's showing me that you're going somewhere for her 1 year anniversary and that you're not going to be here. I was like, where are you going? What are you doing? She said again, she's like, you're good. She's like, we have a trip planned in March for the 1 year and we're going to Hawaii. And I said, okay. I'm like, she's very happy about that. Like she's happy that you guys are going. And she's like, oh, good, because her dad's still on the fence about it. And then I was like, oh no, like it's going to be good. And the healing's going to get a lot easier after that trip. So it's really important that, they go. And then we started talking about how the father and the oldest daughter was similar in processing and they were kind of in a box and untouchable at the moment. But the brother and the mom were more are on the same wavelength and they're going through it and kind of more emotional and show it out more. She was like, yes, that's true. And then she started to talk about how the holidays were coming up and obviously the family wasn't feeling excited about the holidays. And she started saying, I don't want the holidays to be sad. And I was like, she's telling me you haven't put up your tree yet, your Christmas tree. She's like, no, we haven't really been in the mood. And I was like, okay. I was like, but normally it would be up by now. She's like, oh yeah, every December 1st we put it up. I said, okay, she wants you to put up the Christmas tree. She was like, okay, we'll put it up. And I was like, yeah, she's like really adamant that you put up the Christmas tree. And she's showing me a very specific ornament on the Christmas tree and it's very colorful. And I don't know if it's her ornament or ornament for her, but she like wants you to put this ornament on the tree. And she was like, yep, I know the one. And then she just kept saying about how the holidays aren't meant to be sad, like celebrate her, put her a place at the table if you want to, do all those things, but she doesn't want it to be like a blanket of darkness over the holidays. Like put up the tree, do the things you would normally do the traditions. I was like, I feel like there's a tradition on Christmas Eve that's also important. Like do those things. And then she started talking about her passing, about how it got bad really fast in the last 6 months. And then the last 3 days were bad. And it was like her soul left her body. And her mom was like, yeah, I knew that. She's like, you are confirming that for me. And I was like, her eyes weren't the same. Like when you looked at her eyes, it's like she was already gone. And she was like, yeah, like we knew that. I was like, okay, she just wants you to confirm that like those last 3 days when it got really bad, like she wasn't there. Like don't worry, like she wasn't suffering. She's like, yeah, okay, thank you. So then I said, there's another lady here. And she said, yes. And I said, is your mom also passed? And she said, yes. And I was like, oh, she's sitting there. And she's sitting in a rocking chair and she's like further back. So she's been passed for a long time. She was like, yes. I'm like, a long, long time. She's like, yes. And I was like, she's showing me her hair. Like, she has very long hair. She's like stroking her hair. She's showing me her hair. I don't know, was her hair really important? Did she have long hair? Was she known for her hair? Like, she's showing me like she's petting her hair pretty much. She's like, yeah, her hair was like a big feature for her. And I was like, also, I feel like she's also physically far away. Like, you guys, wherever you live, like, she isn't buried there. And they were like, no, she's buried in Edmonton. And I was like, okay, because she's showing me that. And I was like, and she has a sister who is still alive. And she was like, yes. And I was like, you're still very close with that sister. She was like, yes. I was like, okay. And I was like, and your dad's still alive. She's like, yes. And I was like, oh, but he's hanging on by a thread. She's like, yes. A very thin thread. She's like, yeah, he's 92. And I was like, okay. And I said, your mom is taking me to your first pregnancy. And I feel like something traumatic or almost traumatic happened. And your mom is telling me that she protected you during that experience. So I said, did something traumatic happen during your first pregnancy? Like, or almost traumatic? She said, yes. And I said, okay, your mom is telling you like she's protecting you. She's been watching over you. She's like, okay, because I don't always feel my mom and I don't feel her around. And I was like, oh, she's around. And I was like, but she's taking a back seat for sure. Like, your daughter is like grabbing the microphone. Your mom's just like, my work here is done. Like, the mom didn't really feel like she needed to do anything, but she did bring up a few things where she was talking about how she had protected her throughout the years. And then we kind of jumped back to her daughter, and I was like, your daughter always knew that she wasn't going to live a long time. Like, she never talked about getting old. She never talked about being a grandma. She never talked about what she was going to do, later in life. And she was like, yeah, she never really did any of that. I was like, her soul always knew she wasn't going to be here for a long time. And this is really hard when the soul has passed because they have such a greater understanding that obviously we as humans don't have. And even me saying it, it sounds so insensitive, but I'm like, they understand it at such a higher level than we can. But she said, I know 20 years was short. She passed when she was 20 years old of cancer. But I was like, she's explaining it to me that that's like 20 years is longer than nothing. And she also explained that I said, did you have a few miscarriages? Because she's showing me that she tried to come to Earth a few times and she didn't make it. And like now she's saying 20 years is better than nothing. She was like, yes. And then I said, and I feel like she had a very good life. Like, you guys are like a family in the movies, like family vacations, family dinners, like very nuclear, very like family focused. So she's talking about how she had a very good life. She had a very good 20 years. Like, she really, really enjoyed her family and her time. And like, she's very grateful to have like 20 years over nothing. Because they were a great, great experience. Like, they just felt like a very, like, wholesome, like, type of, like, family you would see on TV, And she was like, yeah, like, I think so. Like, we did family vacations, and we always tried our best, and we just had a small family, so it was just us. So this reading between her daughter, her mom, and her went on for about 40 minutes. And eventually I was like, okay, like, I really want to still Reiki you. So I need to, like, say goodbye to them. She was like, okay. So we did some Reiki and we finished up and she brought me a crystal and it was like a really beautiful experience. She was a very beautiful human. And it was so sad, but it felt so special and so needed that her daughter came through and she came through so strong. It was so easy to talk to her. She was just like right there. So I was just like, she made it easy for me. So she did a really good job coming through. And then later on, I got an email from the mom and she said, it was so nice to meet me. My expectations on meeting you, the treatment, as well as channeling my mom and daughter far surpassed my expectations. Thank you for all you did for me. You have no idea how much it all meant. And, it's always nice when you get those emails. I'm like, oh, like, should I be doing mediumship? And it's so hard when something so beautiful and so healing happens where you're like, this was very special, obviously, especially right around Christmas time. And her daughter even when we were finishing up the session, I was like, your daughter's really like, put up the tree, like put up the Christmas tree, like do it right away. She was like, okay. So when she sent me that really nice email, I said back, like, make sure you put up the tree. A few days later, I got another email from this lady, and it said, light bulb. Hi, Stephanie. I'm sorry to bother you, but I just had a light bulb moment. When you kept asking me who was in a car accident, I realized who you were talking about. My daughter's friend was tragically killed in a car accident in 2021. I think she may have been trying to come through as well. Her mom and I are in contact and have been supporting one another. Holy crap. Anyways, I just had to tell you that. And I responded back, like, thank you so much for letting me know. I knew the tragic car accident was too strong not to fit somewhere. And at the beginning, I couldn't figure out that it wasn't her. And I was like, she didn't die in the car accident? Like, there was a young girl who died in a car accident. So I said, please share with the mother that she was trying to come through and that your daughters are together. Again, just like so healing. And I said, P.S., make sure you put up your Christmas tree. And then she sent me a photo of her Christmas tree. So it's just such beautiful experiences like that if I always think, like, could I do this every day? But the answer is still no. And I know I feel like I need to do like why I don't do mediumship 2.0 or 3.0. But it's so sad. It's so sad. Like, I usually don't think about work afterwards. But when I got home after this, I was like blown away. I was like, wow, like spirit really showed up today and they said a lot of specific things. And, like they just did a really good, really healing job. Like it was so needed. It was so beautiful. Like, holy cow. But then I was also just like, I couldn't do this every day. Like, I couldn't. Like, she was crying. I was crying at one point. It's so emotional. So kudos to all the mediums who work full time because this is not easy work in any sense, not even the connection part, just like the emotional side of things. So I had to share this story with you guys because I always have to share my mediumship stories with you. And it's still so beautiful, it's still so special, and it still gets me every time. Going into my 8th year of mediumship, you think I would start to get used to it, but I was even blown away. Like, she was like, wow, like, that's really good. I was like, yeah, that is really good. Like, holy, how did I know that? And it still is, like, surprising. And when I get things right, I'm like, whoa, like, I got that right. I told a friend about it. I was like, guess what happened today at work? And they were like, whoa, like, that's crazy. And I was like, yeah, like, it is crazy. So 8 years later, I'm still not over the... Crazy isn't a right word. It's like unbelievable. Yes, it's unbelievable is what it is. And if it wasn't happening to me, I still don't know. I would believe it, obviously. I wouldn't think that someone was a liar. But when it happens to you, it's so undeniable. I was like, how would I know any of those things? And like, even if I was a good guesser, I don't know. Mediumship is crazy. It's not crazy. It's unbelievable. So we're going back to my roots, medium in the middle with a mediumship story for the second last episode of 2024. Thank you to that beautiful soul for doing a great job for her mom, for her birthday gift, and for Christmas. I think it's really special and it's very healing. I hope this was special and healing to anyone listening. Maybe anyone who also lost a child listening to this. Know that they're still around. Still put up the tree. Still put up that special ornament. Still maybe set them a spot at the table. Do your traditions. It doesn't have to be blanketed with sadness. We can talk about them. We can remember them. We can think about memories with them. They're not gone. They're physically not here, but they're still with you. They're still around. You'll still feel them. Ask to see them. Ask for signs. I know the holidays can be a really hard time. So really ask for signs if you're feeling like you want to know that they're around. Ask for something specific. I have episodes on how to ask for things specifically. Okay, everyone. I know this was a little sad story, but I hope it was moving. That's what you're here for, medium in the middle with the mediumship stories. People are past and it's sad and I'm happy that 2 moms got a message. So until next Wednesday, Middlers, when I see you in your ears for the last time in 2024, hope you have a wonderful week. All the links you need are down below in the show notes if you want to work with me. Bye.